Oh. What is up, guys? Welcome back. Today, we're gonna be doing a fresh installment of products that I've changed my mind on. It's kind of the thing that follows pretty closely after a declutter video. And I did one like 8 months ago after my last declutter. And what it really is like good or bad. Like products I've like outgrown the formula, products I've changed my mind on, kind of grown into the formula in some cases. And also things that have just surprised me the longer that I've used them. It is always valuable to get somebody's more long-term insight. Does not mean that I regret saying what I said before, but certain products require, in my mind, an update to their review. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm feeling so almost like Disney bounding right now. Like I don't know, there's something about this outfit that's giving me like Leave It to Beaver vibes. I'm like cosplaying as like a Mad Men housewife. There's something about it. You know, I'm always a whole vibe, and I had this one in my mind and I can't believe how well it worked out. So here's one that is very non-binary in the sense that I'm not sure I've ever given it a full-throated endorsement. This is a Chantecaille Future Skin Cushion, and I have always caveated it by saying, yeah, it's pretty, but it's so expensive and it's barely there. This is a product, a formula, particularly, that I have grown into. I feel like the older I get, and of course, the older we get, we're always the oldest we've ever been, but I feel like the more I notice my skin changing with age, the more appealing I start to find this specific foundation. My mother loves it. She will be turning 65 this year. A lot of my subscribers who are over 40 say in my comments that this is especially phenomenal on their skin and worth every penny in that respect. But one comment I got a while back, and I always appreciate these kinds of comments because I'm only one person, right? And anybody with more experience with a product, I always value the insight, and it gives me kind of a different look at it or a chance to revisit it with something else in mind. And the comment said, actually, you can get the Future Skin Cushion to build pretty well. And I was like, really? Because like you guys saw it in my skin tint video. I like swipe it and I mean, it's pretty much invisible. Like the 4K was still struggling to like get a grip on showing that there was makeup on my face, but I think that that's the magic. There's nothing like this. There is no other product like this. The foundation goes on so whisper thin that you almost can't, I mean, I had the wrong shade at one point and then I could tell that it was going on, you know, but you have to look really, really hard. And now that I have Aura, which is my accurate shade match, it really is hard to see it going on. All you start to notice is just that things look better. And when I say it is so lightweight, it is so unbelievably lightweight. And I think that the other thing that I start to notice as I'm getting older, as I'm noticing my skin has different needs as I'm aging, is just that skincare claims on makeup do start to matter more. My skin is more sensitive, it has a harder time recovering, and yeah, there are really beautiful things that can do a good job of camouflaging that on the day-to-day, but they're not necessarily improving it over time. This kind of stuff is improving it over time. That's where the crazy cost comes from. I really feel like Chantecaille would be a brand that I would go to often if I were just a regular makeup consumer not making videos on the internet reviewing makeup. I just made an order on Chantecaille that is almost nothing new from the brand, and it's all just because they're products I'm genuinely interested in. Not to say that I am not always buying things that I'm interested in for my channel, but like, I mean for my personal stash. You know, I'm personally interested in just knowing for myself, for the faces of makeup that I'm going to put on when I'm not filming. I guess I could say I could care less whether I actually end up reviewing them because I'm gonna enjoy them for my own reasons anyway. And that really speaks volumes for Chantecaille. Does that mean all of their products are perfect? Absolutely not. I tried all of the cream, not powder, but cream complexion products. I don't really like the little concealer stick. I'm not a huge fan of the tinted SPF, but that's because they don't really have a very good shade for me. It is a pretty good value for the price, but I don't think that they, at least when I bought it, they didn't have Aura in it, and so I had to go for like a not awesome shade match. And I've always placed the regular Future Skin, the gel foundation, above this. But I think that more than anything, I recognize that my audience is very, varied. I have people all the way from very budget drugstore consumers who are really just wanting to know where the hidden gems are. And then I also have these luxury consumers who have so much experience in the luxury space that it is on me to meet them, to meet you, where you are in terms of understanding that arena and telling you like, yeah, I understand you're willing to pay for a luxury experience, as am I, but it's my job to deliver the luxury experience, right? And tell you what is and what isn't delivering that. And to me, it came around slowly with this because it's such a subtle product, but it is so unique in its subtleties and it's just really, really special. And it's so pretty. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. The finish on it is actually really interesting because it's not super glowy. That's the other thing too. I feel like a lot of times we lean on reflective makeup in order to kind of like make our skin look juicy and healthy. This doesn't lean on that. It's very long wearing. it's incredible stuff. Here are two products that were just sent to me, and this is a case we experience and we will continue to experience as I've had my channel for as long as I have. These are not new to me. They are products I've decluttered in the past. But Milk Makeup reached out and asked if they could, you know, put me on their PR list. I have always had a fraught relationship with Milk Makeup because I feel like their products are good, but they miss the mark in some very key ways, and then they tend to be overpriced for what they are, and it always makes it so hard for me to recommend them, and I come in with a chip on my shoulder about their products. And if you guys want, they did send me so much stuff. I can pretty much review almost their entire line at this point and tell you what's worth it and what's not. But as much as I really hate to admit it because these are very bulky in terms of their packaging, yes, this is a replaceable cartridge, but this is still $42. For the full size, $32 to replace the cartridge, and then it's only 0.54 ounces. Still, I wore these and they're so pretty. What an annoying little delivery system with this little ball and everything, but this stuff grips and it's so gorgeous. Does that mean that you need to run out and buy this necessarily? Like, no, and I kind of want to go ahead and like supplement my skin tint video and say that like go for the rare beauty instead of this, you know, if you're in the market, but I don't want to trash this product, either of these. They're gorgeous and I'm gonna keep wearing them. This right here, I don't actually know if I've tried this before. This is the Sunshine Under Eye Tint and Brighten, but it's a concealer, it's like a lightweight concealer, and it's neat. It's a nifty little guy with its little roller ball. Look at the end of that thing. It's a funny, messy little thing. And I know so many people who are devotees to this particular complexion duo. And I think that I've always kind of, like I said, come into reviews of Milk Makeup with a chip on my shoulder being like, what is with the unnecessary packaging and it's so bulky and X, Y, and Z. And I just want to say, like, they have my curiosity. I don't want to just completely write them off as a brand. And I have in the past. Like, they do some really weird stuff. Like, they keep shrinking their packaging and increasing their pricing. I think that they need to work on that. But I do feel like they have innovation in mind. But also, their mascara is terrible. I'm giving clues already to my what's worth it and what's not. But I have been trying a lot of this stuff and I have to say I'm impressed with these. And that's where I'm gonna leave that. All right, this is gonna be a review for people who have been here for a while, but if this is your first video of mine that you are watching, I just wanna say this was one of the biggest mind changes that I had. I think it's really, really easy to see a blur of cream products right now and be like, yep, it's another stick. It's another stick of stuff, you know? But I think that the Makeup by Mario sticks are a lot more special than I gave them credit for initially. I do think that the colors are more nuanced than I gave them credit for initially. And this bronzer, you guys watch me, I applied this on one side of my face saying like, these are the makeup techniques that I don't use and why. But this is the Makeup by Mario, this is the Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick in Light. As soon as I saw this go on camera, I was like, I have to keep using that. That is so pretty. It blends so fast. It's a little creamier than this guy, my very tortured little Warm Wishes Effortless Bronzer Stick from Rare Beauty that my son got into and started jamming the cap on. But, you know, if you're not as into the siliconiness of this is so beautiful, and it's such a good kind of like well-informed shade range. It's not gonna say any shade range on a bronzer is perfect, but I feel like this is really special. You get a lot for your money, and it's just something that I feel like I have to touch on because we haven't done one of these videos in 8 months. So it's like, things I've changed my mind on, absolutely this. It's so good, it's great for the price, and I initially did not give it the credit that it deserves from a formula standpoint or a color like shade range standpoint. Oh y'all, we have some blushes. Oh, this is the one thing I'm wearing on my face today that is getting a downgrade in terms of its review. I really wanted to love these. These are the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer Blush. I have Promenade, Croisette, and Provence. I bought these with my own money, so you can tell how much I wanted and expected to love them, and I just don't. I don't. And I even really tried the most probably with the very saturated one because the other ones were a little bit underwhelming for me. First of all, Provence, which is, you know, the kind of nude for me color, it just doesn't really show up enough. It's a little bit too watery or low pigment. The Promenade shade and the Croisette shade, they both dry down so quickly that for the amount of pigment that's in them, which is great, I like the amount of pigment that's in these, I can't spread them before they dry down, which is really obnoxious. Like, I was using them on top of that Milk Makeup Duo, and man, it doesn't even need that Hydro Grip Primer. It has a very special grippiness to it when you're putting it on your skin. It's a very high-tech kind of formula, the way that it actually, like, when you're putting it on, you feel it grip, I guess is what I'm trying to say. These don't want to cooperate. They don't want to slide on top of slidey things. They don't want to grip on top of grippy things. They just kind of disagree with a lot of things, and I'm just trying so hard to make them work, but I feel like I need to mix them with something like a strobe cream or like an In-Beauty face glaze or something like that to get them to work. And you guys know I have so many things in my collection that it's not that they're terrible, it's just that I am always thinking of your next best spent dollar or my imaginary best next spent dollar since I already spent these, and I just can't recommend them. I think that they are finicky and frustrating, and the colors aren't good enough. They're not special enough to warrant trying to work with them. That's all. I hope that that saves you a little bit of money, and that's kind of my final thoughts on these, because I just stopped reaching for them because they're so finicky and frustrating. All right, here are two that got moved up in the ranking system. One is this. Now, you know what, Miss Addison Rae? I'm committing your TikTok name to memory because I believe in your makeup instincts, okay? I can't get this open. My little nails. I got my nails done. I got, instead of Easter nails, I got this like nude gray pinky thing. I like it. Anyway, this is the Blush and Like cream blush from Item Beauty, and it says that it's a cream blush, and I got another chip on my shoulder. I don't like having expectations and then just having those expectations completely foiled by the actual interaction with the product. Like, I'm always happy with being pleasantly surprised, but this was just weird. I was like, what? This is not a cream, this is a powder, what's happening? What it really is it's a lot like the Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur. It has that funky, super, super dry putty consistency that blurs on the skin and applies best with like a cream blush brush tapped in. And I saw this color and I was like, oh, no way. That is way too like coral or like true hot pink for me. Not the case at all. It seems to totally work, especially when it's layered. And look how beautifully sheer it can go. Obviously you can still see the main swatch because I went in, but like it takes on a skin, it wants to take on a skin finish. I think that that's kind of the built-in intelligence that impresses me about this formula, is that when it goes on the skin, it looks like blurred skin. In fact, I think we're a little uneven. I think I can put a little bit more right here. I'm taking, like I said, a cream-friendly brush. This is the BK101, the travel size, and just tap that. It has the right amount of pigment for my preference. I like the amount of pigment that it lays down. I find that it's really flexible. It actually blends really beautifully. And it's a lot like that Rare Beauty stick in the sense that it's so silicone-y, it doesn't complain, and you hardly feel it on your skin. I am all about, especially as we're moving into warm weather, I mean, at some point, New Jersey, I assume we'll be moving into warm weather. It's still like 40 degrees outside right now. As soon as we move into warm weather, I'm going to be very grateful for these really lightweight textures on my skin. Like I said, the Chantecaille Future Skin, so lightweight. These bronzers that I've been using, like that, like I said, the Rare Beauty bronzer or this Item Beauty blush, all of these things have this really incredible, not even a dry down. They were never wet to begin with, but they're not powders. They're easier to work with than either a cream or a powder. I didn't give it credit initially because it wasn't what I expected, and that's my bad. But I'm glad that Past Khaki chose this color because this color, which is oopsies, is great. It's great, and it's not like other things that I have. It's not like other girls. It's not like other things I have in my collection. Whereas, you know, like I was saying, the Laura Mercier shades, like if you really were to love that formula, I could see wanting to justify buying shades in it and like layering them and things like that if it was fun to put on. Or if it was a finicky formula, but it had some really insane shades that were like, you know, like the Natasha Denona puff paints or something, I could see justifying it one way or the other, but like none of it is really special. This is special in ways that deserve to be discovered. Like it deserved a second, third, fourth look from me because when I got my head around what the actual formula was, it's so much better than a lot of things that I typically would reach for. It's not gonna hard pan on you because it's not soaking up moisture. It's not gonna go on in this really over-pigmented way where you can't spread it out or use all the product. You don't have to squeeze it out, it's in a pan. There's just a lot to be said for it. And it is not a shrinking violet of a color. I wish I had more of them. I might buy more. The other one, and this is thanks to you guys, I just reviewed these. This is the Clinique Cheek Pop. I asked basically, I said, you know, is it my imagination or is this a brand that I kind of always, for some reason, assumed was very inclusive because they're kind of a legacy brand? But they're not actually that inclusive because not only is their like bronzer range kind of extremely lacking and also their foundation shade ranges are pretty lacking, but when I put these on, I was like, there's no pigment to them. They're very pretty, but like I have to work really hard to build them. And then a few of you guys, like more than 3, left comments and said, use a stiff bristle brush, like a goat hair brush or something like that. I don't think, any natural hair brushes for blush, but I did pull out this one that was always kind of a pain in the neck. And I think that they even pulled it, but you know what I mean? It's not like I would recommend buying it anyway, but it's one of the stiffer brushes that I have. And this is the Rare Beauty, I don't really know. I think it's a blush brush, but she's real spiky and kind of hard to use. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but it did the job of cracking the surface on this very hard pressed pan. So I have Garnet Pop and Heather Pop. And a lot of you guys said even though some of their products are lacking in the inclusivity, that for, you know, some of my dark skinned viewers have told me that some of these blushes are so deep and rich and beautiful that they work really well for them, like specifically for their skin tone, not like, oh, I can bend to fit kind of thing, but that it really requires some aggressive brushed stabbing, if you will. So I found that to be absolutely true. This was such a good little brush for this. And so when I did stab it in there, you can see it broke the surface, and I'm really glad to make these usable because this is such an incredibly unique color. That's the other thing about these that I found I wanted to really like them, is because it can offer like this whole range of basically the bronzer formula, in my opinion, but in a lot of different colors because the bronzer is only in 3 colors. By the way, they sent me the bronzers. I already have them, but they sent me new ones of them. I don't care. I'm just so excited that Bare Minerals knows who I am and sent me the bronzers. It even had my name on it. So yeah, I don't know. I'll be trying those again soon because I love them. But yeah, this is the Clinique Cheek Pop is a very similar formula in that sense, but it does require a little bit more like aggression to get through that top layer. And I encourage you, if you have the same issue that I have, and I want to thank you guys for enlightening me on this, to be aggressive, be aggressive, you know. Now this one's super personal. This is really just going out to my skin twins. This is the Airbrush Bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury. I realized I made it all the way through winter without reaching for my quote unquote winter shade, and that is because I have decided that this is just not a good match for my skin. I was very excited to be using or to find even a bronzer that's so pale. I was like, oh, all these bronzers are always too orange, too yellow, too deep, too stampy, what have you. I need to find something that's really, really close to my skin tone because I'm always averse to lying, right? I don't want anybody to be like, girl, that is not your skin tone, you're delusional, you know? Same reason that I tended to go towards like the lightest foundations is kind of why I went for this. It was like, okay, well, I definitely don't want anybody to think that I am trying to be tanner than I am necessarily, or like, you know, naturally. So I'll go for like the fairest thing. And it's not necessarily for me. This might be for Hannah. I'm not really sure, but it's too yellow for me. It doesn't really show up right, and it makes me look a little bit sick. And for the price, I know that it's incredibly personal. So what I would say about bronzers is bronzers are as unique to the individual as a foundation. It's about finding the one that matches you, but the only difference is I have never seen a bronzer range that is as exhaustive as a foundation range or a concealer range. And so you really do have to pick and choose and swatch here and there, and it's a little bit more trial and error to find a bronzer that works on you, because it's about finding a color, but it's also about finding a formula, and there's not every color in every formula, you know? And I think that it just warrants mentioning that for everything that has going for it, and for as expensive as it is, if you're the kind of person who, like, you know, watches maybe some of my older videos and you're like, why doesn't she talk about this anymore? We made it all the way through winter without her talking about it. It's because I think that I have outgrown my taste for that shade on my skin. I have gotten a little bit braver about using slightly darker colors that are a better undertone match for me, instead of just being afraid and always just going for the lightest, you know? So that's just kind of I guess a maturation of my skills as well. Ted is canceling me in the comments right now, and I'm sorry, but this is funny, okay? Talk about something I changed my mind on since I was 14. This was one of my first Lancome purchases in literal years, and I just wanted to know if I still loved the Juicy Tubes. You guys, I was born in 1987. I graduated high school in 2005. This was the glossy lip of life. And it was kind of the Tower 28 lip gloss of that moment, where you kind of pull it out of your bag and it's iconic, you know? It's like a status item a little bit. I completely forgot. Maybe just like rose-colored hindsight? Rose-colored hindsight told me that this was just a very nourishing, really glossy, beautiful, probably similar to like a Glossier lip gloss kind of formula. Oh my gosh, it's the stickiest thing. This is the most obnoxiously sticky. Sure, it's gorgeous. It absolutely is, but it is by far the stickiest, most annoying lip gloss formula to wear. I will still wear it because I have it and it's pretty, but my gosh, I want to wipe it off within an hour. It makes me crazy. Long wearing, yes. Stick to everything in your life. 100%. And I was gonna say I'm sorry to my past self, but this is really all we had at the time. So I'm just glad that we've come such a long way. Can confirm. All right, and finally, this is something that you guys didn't even know I had a take on to begin with, and it's because I talked about making a video, but I haven't made it yet, and it is makeup that is all RuPaul's Drag Race drag queen owned brands. The reason that video hasn't happened is because there have been some very disappointing products in the mix, and I really want to like show the good stuff, not just be like, this is so heavy, this is so much coverage. It's like, girls, drag makeup, what did you think you were getting yourself into? You know, I want to find a way to make it the way I want to wear makeup, and then I'll share it kind of thing. So I'm also waiting, because these are small brands, I'm waiting for these brands to kind of continue putting things out. I know that Trixie Cosmetics just put out some more blushes, things like that. I'm interested. I think it was Hannah that said she had a taupe lip gloss from Trixie Cosmetics, and I went on there to find it, and this isn't the same one that she has. This is called Hater. And I'm gonna show you guys something, okay? What? That is the coolest, brownest, whoa-est thing ever, but it's what I have on my lips right now. This is a case of requires a touch more effort to apply it than a regular lip gloss, but that I think it's worth it all day long because it wears like crazy and it is the prettiest color. And I'm like in awe every time I put this on that, like, as I shear it out, it maintains its pigment and it is the most comfortable, thick, nourishing, beautiful berry color. Just so easy to wear and so pretty and long wearing. I can sit here and talk for an hour like I have today wearing this and hardly need to reapply. And I feel like it completely sets off a makeup look. I also picked up this one and I have, you know, yet to really give it its due. This is called Royal Jelly. And it's also a very extreme color. It's this super glistening, like urine yellow, to be honest. Like it's gold, but it's like it's very yaller. Again, I think that it'd be easy to write that off and be like, well, I mean, obviously that's not my shade, so I bought a dud or whatever. Continuing to work with these has been one of the most rewarding experiences. Like, it makes me want to give more attention to Trixie Cosmetics because this is just such a beautifully wearable formula that I would never have known. You know what I mean? It's very long wearing. It's very versatile. I could wear it at full saturation and have this wild, cool brown lip, but the way that it shears out and is so comfortable, I think this is one of the prettiest colors of a lip gloss that I have. I love when things make me think differently. This makes me think differently about what makeup is supposed to do. I have used bullet lipsticks, I've used lip glosses, I've used liquid lip glosses, like liquid lipsticks, liquid lip balms, just matte, creamy, what have you. This is the first time I've worn a lip gloss that's this insanely saturated to the point that I feel like there's a purpose to how saturated it is. And it's because you hardly need any. And he wants you, she wants you, they want you to work with it to make it the shade that you want it to be. And that it's going to wear more comfortably than like something else that comes out of the tube this color, you know? Don't sleep on these very extreme looking shades from Trixie because they do very interesting things in practical use. They remind me a little bit of the Radiant Ruby lip colors from Aether, except these are a little more matte and a little more powdery, but a little bit like that, just in the sense that they're super saturated and they don't completely like ever dry down. They're not meant to. They're like lip creams, but this has more grip on the lips. It's a really good feeling. Like you feel like once it's down, it's not going anywhere. But that's without it being sucking you dry at all. It's a really interesting formula. Like it's definitely worth mentioning because it's so unique. I feel like it really just like pulls this look together. So yeah, guys, it isn't often that I have like really harsh one way or the other type takes anymore. I feel like just about anything, I can find something to appreciate about it or something to have a caveat about, things like that. So if this wasn't as like burn it to the ground as you were hoping for, I apologize, but that's also because I do continue to have like a growing perspective of not just what's out there on the market, but also what a lot of people who aren't me want and need out of makeup. So I hope that you guys found this valuable. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, guys, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.